The atmosphere resists every forward push. The drag is not a failure, it's the architecture's hook. The coefficient measures what the medium won't give. The resistance is the context in which we have to live. The drag has climbed above the threshold, the medium is pushing back. The coefficient isn't breaking us, it's keeping us on track. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. The profile of the body shapes the force it meets. The drag is not the enemy of all the speed. The coefficient tells us how the form relates to everything the atmosphere creates. The medium is not the obstacle. The medium is the measure. The drag is not the problem. The drag is what we weather. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. Maximum resistance, everything at once. The medium compressed against the form. The coefficient at its peak, the pressure absolute. The drag became the loudest thing I'd known, and then it broke, not the structure, the resistance, the form, it found its shape. The drag coefficient dropped and we accelerated into everything the atmosphere could make. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. Drag coefficient, this is what we're moving through. Drag coefficient, this is what the speed runs into. Every forward force has friction as its twin. The drag coefficient is the air we're living in. This is what resistance feels like at full speed. Drag coefficient, this is what we need. The resistance didn't stop us, it shaped us. The drag was the design. It was always the design.
Without touching the walls, the transit is designed to move and not to stall. The hollow in the center is the path we take. The architecture built around the space we make. Further than the entrance, closer than the end. The hollow transit is the only channel that will bend around the obstruction, through the unseen gap. The hollow transit runs where the solid has no map. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passes what can't be seen. The hollow is the emptiness, its architecture, its design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passing through what can't be seen. The hollow is the emptiness, its architecture, its design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. Density without a trace. The hollow in the body is the transit space. The movement isn't visible from the outside view. The hollow transit carries what the solid never knew. The wall around the hollow is what makes the path exist. The transit needs a structure or the hollow can't persist. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passing through what can't be seen. The hollow is not emptiness, it's architecture, it's design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passing through what can't be seen. The hollow is not emptiness, it's architecture, it's design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. I was reading the hollow as absence, as the part that wasn't filled. Now I see the hollow as the reason the structure was built. The transit runs inside the hollow. The hollow is the root. What I call the empty center was what the whole design was about. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passing through what can't be seen. The hollow is the emptiness, its architecture, its design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. Hollow transit moving through the space between. Hollow transit passing through what can't be seen. The hollow is the emptiness, its architecture, its design. The transit runs exactly where the solid draws the line. Through the center, through the gap, through the unseen core. Hollow transit, that's what transit is for. Hollow transit. Quarter past the peak, and the waveform holds its shape. The crest is at the maximum, there's nowhere left to escalate. The ratio of the peak to what we average out to be is the crest factor, the measure of a volatility. The peak is real, the average is real. The distance between the two of them is everything we feel, but never say aloud, but never put to measure. The crest factor is the gap between the pain and the pleasure. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always been. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always past the apex of a measured band. The crest was higher than the average ever planned. The ratio reveals the volatility within. The crest factor is where the eye catcher's always been. The waveform has a memory, the crest leaves its impression. The factor isn't flattened by a single measured session. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always been. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always been.
The crest factor of a human being is not a fault in the design. It's the ratio of what we're capable of to what we maintain over time. The volatility is not a warning, it's the proof the waveform's alive. A flat waveform has a crest factor of 1, and a crest factor of 1 means nothing survives.
The right cheek climbs above the baseline. The peak exceeds the norm. The crest factor isn't breaking. The crest factor is the form. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always been. Is this the crest or is this what we sustain? Is this the peak or is this where we remain? The factor between the maximum and the mean is the crest factor, the problem or the thing we've always been. Is a flat waveform the goal? Or is the crest the own view? If we were ever bends, the remainder is an error. It's the part that won't resolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. You said divide this evenly and we'll be done. I took the number, something wouldn't come to 1. The operation ran correctly, nothing broke. The remainder sat between us when the calculation spoke. The agnostics complete. Result remainder present. The operation finished clean, but the output wasn't pleasant. The remainder has no address. The remainder has no place. It exists outside the answer in the operation negative space. What's left when the division ends? What holds when the calculation bends? The remainder is an error. It's the part that won't resolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. What's left when the division ends? What holds when the calculation bends? The remainder is an error. It's the part that won't resolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve.
precise. We confirmed the input values. We checked the methodology. We ruled out the variables. The remainder was consistent across each independent run. The calculation works. The remainder just won't come undone. Some things don't divide evenly. Some things resist the clean. Remainder is the honest part of what the numbers mean. The system flagged it. Everything recalculated. Remainder held its value under managed, trying to bait it. A new operation formed around remainder. The equation was rewritten, and the remainder became the center.
What's left when the division ends? What holds when the calculation bends? The remainder is an error. It's the part that won't resolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. Ends. What holds when the calculation bends? The remainder is an error. It's the part that won't resolve. The remainder is the thing that the equation can't dissolve. Remainder. Matters more than speed. The angle of the incident determines what we need. The surface reads the angle before it reads the force. The incident angle is the thing that sets the course. The angle of approach is the angle of return. The incident is not the impact, it's a trajectory we earn. Before the surface, before the contact zone, the incident angle is the only thing we own. Incident angle, this is how we arrive. Incident angle, this is how we survive. The approach is everything. The vector is the key. The incident angle is what determines what will be. After contact, after the return, the incident angle is the one thing that we earn. Incident angle, this is how we arrive. Incident angle, this is how we survive. The approach is everything. The vector is the key. The incident angle is what determines what will be. And the contact after the return, the incident angle is the one thing that we earn. The surface reads the geometry of that approach. And the angle of the incident is not a thing to coach. The vector was determined long before the contact made. And the incident angle is the choice before the trade. The reflection matches what the incident brought in. The angle out is equal to the angle we came in. We don't control the surface, we control the approach. The incident angle is the only thing we curve. Incident angle, this is how we arrive. Incident angle, this is how we survive. The approach is everything. The vector is the key. The incident angle is what determines what will be. After the contact, after the return, the incident angle is the one thing that we earn. Incident angle, this is how we arrive. Incident angle, this is how we survive. The approach is everything. The vector is the key. The incident angle is what determines what will be. After the contact, after the return, the incident angle is the one thing that we earn. Carrying the weight of a moment held too long. The dwell time has exceeded what the system's built to absorb. Between the contact and the release there's a cost. The longer that we dwell, the more the pressure accrues. Higher than the rated contact window, longer than the spec allows. The dwell time in the pressure zone is what the architecture boasts. Dwell time, this is how long we stay. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. Dwell time, this is how long we stay. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. Carrying the architecture of the extended hold. The dwell time in the record can't be retroactively controlled. The contact made an impression, that's the nature of the dwell. The longer that we stay, the more the structure had to tell. Further past the contact threshold, deeper than the rated zone. The dwell time is the distance between the contact and a load. Dwell time, this is how long we stay. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. Dwell time, this is how long we stay. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. Maximum dwell, the impression at its deepest. The contact held beyond the point the structure needed, and then the pressure released. Not the structure, the holding. The dwell time had its record, and the record kept unfolding into something that the contact couldn't have predicted. The dwell time was the making of the thing we most restricted. Dwell time, this is how long we stayed. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. Dwell time, this is how long we stayed. Dwell time, this is the price that contact made. The longer in the zone, the deeper in the trace. The dwell time is the measure of the pressure on the space. This is the residue of holding past the point. Dwell time, the contact and the joint. The dwell time is in the record. The impression doesn't expire. The residual load is what we're always maintaining. Midnight past the peak and the demand has softened now. The grid is at its lowest, but the residual holds somehow. The load that stays when everything else has gone to sleep is the residual, the weight the infrastructure has to keep. Before the peak demand, before the peak returns, one breath, one question: what is it the residual earns? What does the baseline carry that the peak could never hold? The residual load is warm when the peak is all gone cold. The load that doesn't leave when the demand drops off. The residual is what the system carries after the cost. The baseline never empties, there's always weight remaining. The residual load is what we're always maintaining. The load that doesn't leave when the demand drops off. The residual is what the system carries after the cost. The baseline never empties, there's always weight remaining. The residual load is what we're always maintaining. 3 past the low point and the residual is clear. The weight that doesn't vanish is the weight that keeps us here. The peak is what they measure, but the residual runs the floor. The residual load is what the infrastructure's for. The demand has a cycle, the residual has none. The baseline is the constant that remains when peaks are done. It is always waiting. The load that doesn't leave when the demand drops off. The residual is what the system carries after the cost. System carries after the cost. It never empties, there's always weight remaining. The residual load is what we're all maintaining. I was reading the residual as inefficiency, as the load that should have cleared. Now I see the residual as the reason the infrastructure persevered. What I call the leftover was the load that held the floor. The residual wasn't waste. The residual was what the baseline was for. The residual still carrying, still holding. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. You told me keep it focused, struck the theme intact. I told you scattering reaches where a focused beam goes back. The medium produces divergence, that's the design. The scatter is the coverage, the focus is the confine. The angle of divergence is the measure of the reach. The scatter pattern covers what the focus beam can teach. Not a single point, the distributed field. The scatter is the architecture the focus couldn't build. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. You told me single path is stronger than the spread. I told you scatter reach what single path has never read. The divergence in the medium is not a loss of power. The scatter is the architecture of the coverage hour. The source emits. The divergence pattern is exactly where the coverage fits. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. We don't travel in a single beam, we scatter through the medium. That's what transmission means. The divergence isn't failure, it's the physics of the spread. We scatter into coverage where a single path would give instead. I never told you this, the scatter was intentional from the start. I never trusted focus beams, I trusted the distributed part bar. The divergence was not the weakness, the divergence was the range. The scatter is the reason we reach further than a focus beam could claim. Change around the frame. The iron in the atmosphere is not the atmosphere's name, but pressure at this composition reads like metal against skin. The iron atmosphere is the medium we're operating in. The density is reading above the rated spec. The iron in the atmosphere is pulling at the deck. The medium is heavier than the instruments prepared. The iron atmosphere is not the medium we share. Iron atmosphere, we're moving through the weight of it. Iron atmosphere, we're carrying the state of it. The pressure of the medium our atmosphere, we're carrying the state of it. The pressure of the medium is metal, it is mass. The our atmosphere is what we're breathing through the glass. This is what the heavy air feels like at speed. Our atmosphere, this is what we need. Our atmosphere, move through the weight of it. Pressure of the medium is metal, it is mass. Breathing through the glass. This is what the heavy air feels like at speed. Our atmosphere, this is what we need. This is what we need. We're moving through the weight of it. We're carrying the state of it. The pressure of the medium is metal, it is mass. Accumulating in the structure without releasing yet. The charge is stored, the potential hasn't been reset. The latency between the pils and the arc is where the latent charge has always held its mark. Storing past the rated capacity, the potential has no outlet. The latent charge is sitting in the architecture's closet, waiting for the threshold, waiting for the arc. The latent charge is the distance between the quiet and the spark. Latent charge stored before the arc. Latent charge, pressure in the cold. The potential is invisible until it finds the gap. The latent charge was always there, it's only now it snaps into everything the builder had prepared. Latent charge, the accumulated wear. Latent charge stored before the arc. Latent charge, pressure in the cold. The potential is invisible until it finds the gap. The latent charge was always there, it's only now it snaps into everything the builder had prepared. The latent charge, the accumulated wear. Accumulating past the point of stable hold. The latent charge is building into something that won't fold. The potential in the structure is the pressure of the stored. The latent charge is everything we've carried and ignored. The arc is not the problem, the arc is the release. The latent charge was never a condition to appease. Latent charge stored before the arc. Latent charge, pressure in the cold. The potential is invisible until it finds the gap. The latent charge was always there, it's only now it snaps into everything the builder had prepared. Latent charge stored before the Charge always knew. .250 past destruction and we're through. The clearance was exactly what the passage needed to. The gap between the structure and the moving part is the clearance, the precise and calculated art. The clearance has a value, the gap was engineered. The tolerance between the two was neither guess nor fear. The clearance is the architecture of the space between. The passage runs on clearance that no instrument has seen. Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? Degrees above the rated clearance band. The gap between the structure and the moving hand. The clearance keeps the contact from occurring at the speed. The clearance is the space the architecture needs. The gap is not the absence, the gap is the allow. The clearance is the reason the passage works right now. Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? The clearance peaked, everything accelerated. The gap between the structure and the moving part was rated for a speed we hadn't run before. The clearance held its tolerance, the passage ran at maximum. And what emerged was not the fear of the gap, but the understanding that the clearance was the gift. The clearance was the opening, the clearance was the lift. Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? Is this the clearance, or is this the gap we fear? Is this the space that lets us through, or what keeps us here? The tolerance between the structure and the move. Is the clearance the permission, or the thing we have to prove? The clearance was always the permission. The gap was always the design. We don't receive it through the so deep. I told you the bone frequency runs below the sweep of the audible. It's structural, it's in the architecture. The bone frequency is the body's oldest lecture. You asked me why the resonance was felt and not heard. I told you the bone frequency precedes the word. The structure of the body was the first receiver built. The bone frequency is the resonance without the guilt. The air receives the surface, the bone receives the core. The frequency at structural depth is what the body's for, not the outer hearing, the air architecture. The bone frequency is the oldest and the deepest vector. We don't receive it through the air, we receive it through the frame. The bone frequency is what the body hears before the name. The resonance at the structural level is the one that stays. Bone frequency is the carrier of what the body plays. We don't receive it through the air, we receive it through the frame. The bone frequency is what the body hears before the name. The resonance at the structural level is the one that stays. The bone frequency is the carrier of what the body plays. I was reading the deep resonance as noise, as a frequency below the range. Now I see the bone frequency as the thing that doesn't change. What I call the subaudible was the most reliable band. The bone frequency was transmitting long before the ear could understand. The structure holds the frequency long after the air clears. The bone frequency is the one that the architecture hears. We don't receive it through the air, we receive it through the frame. The bone frequency is what the body hears before the name. The resonance at the structural level is the one that stays. The bone frequency is the carrier of what the body plays. We don't receive it through the air, we receive it through the frame. The bone frequency is what the body hears before the name. The resonance at the structural level is the one that stays. The bone frequency is the carrier of what the body plays. Resonating. The stress has been accumulating in the material. The elastic range is ending, it's becoming serial. The yield point is the boundary between the spring and the permanent. The material remembers what the stress made it inherit. The stress has crossed the elastic into the plastic zone. The yield point was the boundary we were never meant to own, but the material did not, because it failed. Because the yield point is the threshold where the new form is unveiled. Yield point, this is where the material changes. Yield point, this is where the structure rearranges. Past the elastic into the permanent deform. The yield point is the crossing, it's the passing of the norm. This is where the stress becomes the shade. Yield point is what we made. This is where the material changes. Yield point, this is where the structure rearranges. Past the elastic into the permanent deform. The yield point is the crossing, it's the passing of the norm. This is where the stress becomes the shade. Yield point is what we made. The elastic range was manageable, the spring would hold. The yield point is the moment when the spring was sold. For something permanent, for something that would stay. The yield point is the crossing from the temporary to the clay. The plastic deformation is materials record of the stress that crossed the yield the stress to leave a mark. I wanted something permanent to come out of the dark. The elastic was a costume, the yield point was the skin. The permanent deformation was the shape I've always been within. Yield point, this is where the material changes. Yield point, this is where the structure rearranges past the elastic into the permanent deform. The yield point is the crossing, it's the passing of the norm. This is where the stress becomes the shape. Yield point, this is what we make. This is where the material changes. Yield point, this is where the structure rearranges past the elastic into the permanent deform. The yield point is the crossing, it's the passing of the norm. This is where the stress becomes the shape. Yield point, this is what we make. Did the yield point break us, make us, yeah. Passing at the minimum angle of the surface plane. The grazing arc is not a landing, it's the closest we came. The trajectory that grazes without making the descent. The grazing arc is how we pass without the full commitment. The arc skims the threshold without crossing to the ground. The grazing angle is the minimum where contact isn't found. But the grazing arc leaves traces in the atmosphere it bends. The closest pass without the contact is the arc that never ends. Grazing arc, the closest pass that is in contact. Grazing arc, the trajectory that skims the track. The minimum above the threshold, threading through the low. The grazing arc is how we pass through what we almost know. The arc that skims the edge of what we almost were. Grazing arc, the past that doesn't blur. Grazing arc, the closest pass that is in contact. Grazing arc, the trajectory that skims the track. The minimum above the threshold, threading through the low. The grazing arc is how we pass through what we almost know. The arc that skims the edge of what we almost were. Grazing arc, the past that doesn't blur. Passing at the shallowest trajectory allowed. The grazing arc completes without descending through the cloud. The minimum approach is still an approach, it has a cost. The grazing arc is close enough to carry what was almost lost. The arc bends toward the surface without completing the descent. The grazing is the record of the closest that we went. Grazing arc, the closest pass that is in contact. Grazing arc, the trajectory that skims the track. The minimum above the threshold, threading through the low. The grazing arc is how we pass through what we almost know. The arc that skims the edge of what we almost were. Grazing arc, the past that doesn't blur. Grazing arc, the closest pass that is in contact. Grazing arc, the trajectory that skims the track. The minimum above the threshold, threading through the low. The grazing arc is how we pass through what we almost know. The arc that skims the edge of what we almost were. Grazing arc, the past that doesn't blur. The arc completed everything reconfigured. The grazing pass left its record in the atmosphere. It figured a new trajectory formed from the close approach. The grazing arc had bent the The return window closed, the receiver reads the black. The null return isn't failure, it's a category. The absence of the signal is its own kind of story. Is the null return the ending, or the frequency going wide? Is the absence of the signal from the other side? Is a null return the closing, or the opening of the band? Is a null return the limit of what the receiver can understand? Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? And is something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer, or the thing we can't yet understand? Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? Into something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer, or the thing we can't yet understand? The three past the window where the signal should have cleared. The null return is holding in the position that we feared. The absence is consistent, that's a reading, not a gap. The null return is not the end of every map. Before the new transmission, before the next attempt, one breath, one question: is the null return exempt from meaning or the carrier of what the range can't hold? The null return is not the silence, it's the frequency gun code. Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? Into something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer, or that thing we can't yet understand? Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? Into something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer, or the thing we can't yet understand? The return window closed, everything reconfigured. The null was not the absence, it was what the receiver figured was outside its architecture, was beyond its rated band. A new receiver would be needed to understand what the null return was carrying in the frequency it held. The null return was not the nothing, the null return was what the old receiver failed to tell. Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? Into something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer, or the thing we can't yet understand? Is this the null return, or is this the beginning of the next? Is this the absence or the pretext? The receiver reads the empty, but the empty has a shape. Is the null return the ending, or the data we escape? Into something past the range of the receiver's band? Is the null return the answer,